What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA channel. And we are here kicking it off Monday, 1:30 p.m. PSD for fight week of UFC 319. We are so excited. And I got a nice little fun announcement for the channel. Look at what I'm rocking. Boom.
Hey, let's go. That's the first time I've seen him too. Let's go.
Yeah, it just came today. The hoodie's on its way, but it's actually pretty dope. If you guys do want to check out the merch, like they did a really good job with the printing, and it only took, I think, like 5 days for it to get delivered. The other merch company that we had aligned with first, or I was like trying to create some stuff. It was terrible. I ordered samples. They never came. So we cut it off with them. I think that was String, or I can't remember the Spring or something. That was what it was called. We switched to this other company. They're amazing. It's so easy to create merch. So anyways, if you guys have ideas for other types of shirts or merchandise or things you want us to make, let us know. I'm also going to have action shots of Justin from some of his fights. He's going to send it over. We're going to turn that into merch as well. So it's pretty cool. We're making things happen. We're doing our thing. But anyways, we're going to start off right at the top. We're looking at a major announcement that just came down today about the UFC. We've been talking about this for a while now, the streaming deal, the licensing deal. People thought, obviously, they had the deal in place with ESPN. I think there were a lot of rumors that they weren't going to return to ESPN, that they were unhappy with ESPN for whatever reason. These are just rumors. So I think the front runner that people thought we were going to go to was Netflix for good reason. However, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all the big players that we had talked about did not get the deal, which is crazy. It ends up going to Paramount Plus, which I'm not even a member of or a subscriber of. I was actually quite surprised by this, but they got the deal done. Now, I've been doing a lot of research on this deal compared to other deals in terms of the NFL, the NHL, and the NBA. I'm going to make an in-depth video right after we finish this episode today. But just to start off, I wanted to make this announcement. Let me first turn over to Justin. As we see, this deal was announced, $7.7 billion over 7 years. That's $1.1 billion per year, compared to, I've heard some people say that ESPN was paying him $550 million per year, but I looked it up and it says they were only getting $300 million per year. You know, on top of that, they were getting pay-per-views, but I think those sales were dwindling. So anyways, Justin, let me turn it over to you. What's your first reaction of this crazy announcement and big news for fight fans?
I sent it to you earlier this morning when I took my son to school. I'm surprised, man. I thought ESPN was the front runner. I thought Netflix was going to steal the show and sneak under the radar. And, you and I have been talking about that a lot, and we've been talking about this great matchup, especially after the Mike Tyson success. The Mike Tyson fight, man. There was so much success to that fight. I really thought Netflix was going to jump on this deal. This is really surprising. I'm not a subscriber to Paramount, so I mean, it makes me uneasy because it means I have to get another subscription. And are they going to have? Do you have to have a subscription and pay-per-view costs?
Nope.
It's going to be $10 a month.
No, I'll tell you how it works. So you can do $7.99 per month, and you can get access to all the pay-per-views. It's all included. So that's $8 times 12. That's $96. So now basically the cost of one pay-per-view, you get every single UFC event. But that's with commercials. If you want the premium package, it's $11.99, basically $12 a month. I think it's $11.99 or $12.99. Let me double check. I just look this up. No, sorry, $12.99, excuse me. So $13 per month, which is probably what I'm going to do. And then you get no ads, no commercials. So 12 times 13, that's $156 versus for somebody like me, I probably buy almost every pay-per-view per year. There's around 13 per year. So 13 times 80, that's a little over. Yeah, it's a little over $1,000. So I think 1,040 or something like that. So it's going to be major cost saving. I think it's going to be tremendous. But the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to now, I'm gonna watch the fights no matter what. Like, that's kind of where I'm coming from. But I'm very happy for the savings. So I have a question for you. Let me just finish my thought, and then I'll let you jump in. The main thing that one of the big things that I was excited about with this deal was I thought it was going to expand the scope, and I'm hoping it still will expand the scope of UFC fans, because now it's so much more accessible. It's cheaper. It's just going to be on there for the subscribers. That's why I think Netflix would have been better, because it's got a bigger subscriber base. But anyways, I'm still thrilled, and we can get into the particulars. Okay, sorry. Let me turn it back over to you. What was your question?
No, my question to you was just, so this is everything. There's all the fight nights are going to be on, all the pay-per-views. So fight nights and pay-per-view are essentially the same thing?
But in terms of it's going to be included, well, there's
That's
a little
being included. Yes.
Yep. There's a little interesting thing though. So this isn't just a Paramount Plus partnership. It's also a co-partnership with Paramount Plus and CBS. So I think what's going to happen is for certain events, I imagine this might be the case with the White House event. It's not just going to be streamed on Paramount Plus. It'll be streamed on Paramount Plus as well as CBS. So it's like this joint partnership, which I think makes perfect sense in terms of expanding the fan base. So you can still have the Paramount Plus, the great deal, the existing subscriber base, but for events that they really want to push and maybe get more subscriptions or whatnot to Paramount Plus, they're going to blast it out on CBS, kind of like they did the free fights on ABC before. So people who just have like cable subscriptions, they can jump on them and watch the things for free. So I think it's pretty cool. But anyways, now let's talk about the numbers. Okay, Justin, how many subscribers do you think Netflix currently has right now?
Oof. I honestly don't even want to make a guess and sound stupid. I don't know, 6 million?
No worries. No, not 6 million. 300 million. This is the estimate.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to make it.
It's all good, but this is what they say as of July 2025 at the end of Q2. It's they believe it's plus 300 million. So it's over 300 million. I don't know the specifics if it's, how much above or below, but let's say around 300 million. Now, comparatively, the other front runner that we were talking about, I know we got comments. We're going to read through them in a second. The other front runner was Amazon Prime or Amazon, and those guys have 200 plus million. So it's a big chunk. It's a lot of people. Paramount Plus. So those 200, 300. What do you think Paramount Plus's numbers are for existing subscribers?
100 million, 50 million?
Close to 100. It's around 77, almost 80 million. So the downside is that we don't have the 300 million existing subscribers that can just pop out and watch the UFC and be like, oh my God, I should start watching the sport because it's amazing. So that's the downside. But the reason why I believe that's a lot of money, 7.7 billion for 7 years. That's a lot. It's a big jump from what they were getting from ESPN. But I think what they settled for is I guarantee you Netflix was probably offering them less because they have more leverage on the subscriber base, whereas Paramount Plus is less leverage, but we're probably willing to pay more. So now what it's going to be is it's almost like I bet you they're paying them more money to leverage the UFC fan base to increase subscription. So they're hoping to gain that way versus I think with Netflix, they would get less money up front, but then the UFC would grow as a brand and hopefully more people would tune in. I think that's what the metrics were. And that's what the scales were in terms of weighing, hey, who should we go with? Paramount Plus won out. After all, it is what it is. But I'm so happy with the 77 million subs, almost 80 million subs. I think the sport's going to grow and I'm excited. Now, the one thing that people have been talking about, and this part, I'm not really sure how to weigh in on, but the one thing is, with some of these streaming deals, they've been sharing some of these numbers with the fighters straight up. I don't think they're doing that, at least explicitly. That's my understanding. I hope, though, that maybe this means if more money's coming in and whatnot, maybe we'll see a bump in fighter pay to some extent. But what do you think? Coming from the fighter perspective, do you think that this is going to now directly, immediately influence fighter pay, or what? How do you think that's going to unfold?
I don't know, man. That's tough to say because they could justify it before by saying, oh, we had this amount of pay-per-view sales or this or that. $12 a subscription. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people like me who I'm canceling my Hulu subscription. I'm signing on to Paramount right now. I need to start looking for good TV shows. So if you guys have any good TV shows on Paramount, let me know. But I think a lot of UFC fans are going to transition something like that. And maybe I don't know, man. I can't see this. I feel like this is an experiment, man. Like $12 for all the shows. Like, I know they're getting a big $7.7 billion deal on the back end. Maybe it makes up for it. But I think that really soon within the first year, the price is going to go up.
Oh, you think so? Okay. Well,
I think so. I think they want to bring it in. They want to get everybody like me to transition over. Look at how Netflix started off. Oh, it's $7.99 without ads. Oh, well, now it's $7.99 with ads. Now I'm paying like $25 a month for Netflix. Netflix, and now we have this. It's going to be all. We have all the fight nights. We have all the pay-per-views. It's like, oh, it's only $12 for the first year, and then they'll see how it goes and maybe bump it up in them. But regardless, we'll see what happens.
You're right. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to get people in, and then once they're kind of hooked or they're locked in, they love the UFC, they could nudge it up. Yeah, that could happen. All right, we got a ton of comments, so I want to go through them. Anyways, this was just like breaking news. We want to talk about it. Like I said, I'm going to do a hardcore deep dive into all the financials and the numbers, and I'm going to talk through what I think this means for UFC and UFC fans and the sport. But Western starts off, no more pay-per-views. Yes, in 2026, still got a few more pay-per-views to buy, but it is what it is. Western also gave us that info, $12.99. Thank you for that. And then MGAL4 Productions says, this week Shemaev takes the throne. Huzaifa, let's go. 10, 7, all the way. Yo, I would make Shemaev merch right now, but I'm pretty sure that is not allowed. And I don't think, we can't use his face or likeness for that, but I'd be so down for that. Tehran says, what's up, boys? What's up? And saying what's up to everybody. Now, Tehran is saying something that we're not going to say who, but we talked to we've asked around about this a little bit. And the only thing we heard back was there might be some talks of this, but nothing's been signed. Nothing is official. But Tehran, we do agree that it seems like it's going to be Gaethje versus Topuria in the works for 323. Yo, I love it. I absolutely love it. People are going to get so mad. I don't even understand why, because I think people are deceiving themselves that this is a terrible fight. But I mean, Justin, what do you think? Once this is actually announced, people are going to be stoked, right?
Dude, this is a firework fight, man. Justin Gaethje is going to go out there on his shield. I think Topuria is going to knock him out, but we're going to see incredible perseverance. We're going to see incredible Justin Gaethje at his best. He's been around, man. This is why I like this fight better. So I've been doing, because I knew we'd be talking about Arman a lot with this fight upcoming, him being the number one contender, in my opinion. It says Islam's still number one, but obviously he's not. So Arman, in my opinion, is but he's going to try to put a wrestling pace on. He's going to try and put a grappling pace on Topuria. I don't watch the UFC to watch wrestling and grappling. I've done enough wrestling and grappling through my life. I don't care to watch that. I want to see two guys slug it out and kill each other. That's what I want to see. And Justin Gaethje is that guy. Whether he wins or lose, he's going out there. He's going to battle. He's going to try to knock Ilya's head off, and Ilya's going to try to knock his head off. And that's what I want to see. And that's what the fans want to see.
I'll second that and say I do want to see this fight, and I do think it's going to be really, really fun no matter how it goes. But also, I do want to see Arman get in there. But here's the thing, okay? Because I like the mixture of what Arman brings, right? I like that he brings that wrestling threat. I like that we get to see Topuria tested against that, because Topuria comes from a grappling and jiu-jitsu base. So I think it's very, very interesting. But also, Arman's young, number one. He's going to be right in there, I guarantee you, after Gaethje. Number two, Dana White said back in January, and look, I'm not saying that I'm stuck to this position, but all I'm saying is Dana White said in January, Arman needs to fight his way back to the top. Nobody seemed to have a problem with it back then when he made that statement, and I felt like it was fair as well, because Arman kind of, for whatever reason, but if you believe Justin's narrative, which he's made a very convincing argument in a video on our channel, if you believe Justin's narrative, Arman probably maybe could have fought, but maybe the weight was mismanaged or things like that. And I think that's what Dana White in the UFC's position is. So if you believe that, I don't see the major problem with having Arman fight somebody else, just like Dana White said back in January, and then come back after that fight, because, I think he's going to win. I really do. I think Arman's that good. And then have him fight Topuria. I think that's great. And why not get to see Justin Gaethje in there one more time? So to me, I think this is ideal. Plus, Arman said he wants Topuria, but he would fight Dan Hooker or he would fight Paddy Pimblett. It's perfect. I say we do Arman versus Dan Hooker, in my opinion. Give Paddy maybe somebody else. This is going to sound terrible. I just think Paddy was going to lose to Arman. So I don't want to see that. I want to see maybe him against a more favorable matchup so we can really tee up that fight nicely. But hey, if it's going to be Paddy versus Arman next or whatever it is, and we have Gaethje versus Topuria, I love it. I'm happy. And then maybe this will be Gaethje's retirement fight, which is dope as well. Okay, let's go through a couple other comments. Toronto says UFC should bring back sponsorships on the shorts. That would help the fighters as far as pay. I think that would be great too. I assume there's a reason why they took it away, some internal reason. I assume they're probably not going to bring that back, but I do think that would be amazing.
I'll tell you what I was told.
Oh, tell me.
They said that they wanted to be more, the UFC wanted to be more like an official sports brand as itself. And the justification Dana White said was, you don't see the NFL out there with sponsorships on their jerseys.
That's what he says, but I bet you, yeah, sure, you can say we're going to be more like the other organizations, but there's got to be a reason. I think it's just to probably retain more control and more power over the fighters and whatnot. If you're not allowing these individual sponsorships, is my guess. It's just a theory, but anyways. Yeah, I would love to see that back. I think it's great. What I do think is cool is that fighters do have the ability to go out and start YouTube channels. We see so many of them doing that now, starting their own podcasts, creating merch, building businesses. I think that's really, really cool. Oh, one thing that I did want to mention, by the way, I listened to the entire I drove to Palm Springs over the weekend. I listened to the entire Joe Rogan and Khalil Roundtree interview. And one really interesting thing that they talked about was Khalil doesn't do any business stuff, anything right now, because he's fully focused on fighting. And they talk about how that can, running multiple businesses while you're fighting can take away from what you're doing and take away from the focus. So that's kind of I just thought that was a really interesting perspective. But anyways, let me go through a couple more comments and we're going to get back to the topics. So many people are going to sign up to the Paramount for ad-free viewing, though. All the people who pirate streams. I think so. I think they're going to sign up. I think it's going to really switch off at least a fair amount of the pirating, I would hope. And that's the other thing, mate, right? Like, we hear fans. I just want to point this out. So many fans are like, man, they need to pay the fighters more. And it's like, but what are you doing? Are you actually buying the pay-per-views, or are you stealing them? Because if you're stealing them, you're part of the problem, because that's money that the UFC can't make now. And that's where they're getting the money to pay out the fighters. I'm not saying that will solve everything, but just you got to acknowledge that it's an entire ecosystem where us, the fans, we're feeding the entire operation. And if we choose not to do that, it's going to have consequences. MGAL4 Production says, time to take Drick. Let's go. Can't wait for this fight. I made a crazy video yesterday pumping people up to realize how great this fight is. Lerone's going to win. We're going to talk about this. Lerone Murphy. Chad Bays, welcome back. I believe I recognize this name, but I haven't seen you in a bit. What's up, 10-7? See you in MMA Joey's chat. Yeah, that's right. Here to show some support for the channel. Let's go. And let's go, MMA Joey. Yeah, I'm always on his lives, and I guess Chad is as well. So what's up? Thank you for coming to the show. Let us know what you think, by the way, as well, and feel free to subscribe if you do enjoy it. A couple more, and we're going to get back. I wish UFC went to Netflix. I do too, because I felt like that was going to be the best to blow the sport up to a larger audience, because you have 300 million versus 80 million. That's 3.5, almost 4 times as many subs. For the same reason, I wanted it to go there as well. But they're getting a lot of cash. Maybe they can do things with the cash, invest, market, etc., that can still help grow the brand. So I think it could still be a win-win-win situation for everybody. Okay, we're going to move on, because I know we're getting one more comment. Everyone always laughs at me when I say buy pay-per-view. Yes, you're right. I mean, like, dude, it's if we're truly supposed to be fans, I know maybe not everybody, right? It's not possible, but like, if we're truly supposed to be fans, that's how we support. Anyways, all right, Justin, enough of the deal, enough of the business talk. Let's get into the fights. We are finally here. This fight was announced. This epic UFC card main event was announced, I think, back in June, and we've been waiting for August to finally arrive. It is here. Now it is not only August, it's August 11th. We're at Monday of UFC Fight Week of, in my opinion, the biggest fight of the year. I said even maybe the biggest fight of the decade in the video that I popped out last night. What are your feelings right now? What are your emotions as we're on the precipice of this massive, massive main event?
Well, if you guys saw my video, I talked about this is, I think, the number 2 biggest fight of the year. I know it's Huzaifa's biggest, but as MMA as a sport, as the UFC as a totality, I think this is I'm really excited for this fight, man. And this is I'm going to be bummed out with whoever wins, because there's going to be a loser in this fight. And I don't want to see Khamzat lose, and what DDP's done in the division, I don't want to see him lose either, especially with the way Khamzat can beat him. Khamzat goes in there and finishes in the first round, man. Like, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be excited, but I'm going to feel so bad for DDP, because everything he's done in the division has just been so incredible, and he's just defied the odds over and over and over. Now he goes out there and dethrones him. I know you're going to be bummed out, because Khamzat's your favorite fighter, and Khamzat, coming in is this unwreckable wrecking ball, unbeatable person. I think he was a little exposed with Dustin Burns, but
Gilbert Burns.
I say it I'm going to say it and you correct me every time. And I actually even think about it, I was like, Gilbert or Dustin. I trained with Dustin Burns, Gilbert Burns. But it's like I said, everybody has a bad showing every now and then. I don't think that shows Khamzat. I think he just had a bad showing that day. When you get a late opponent switch at the last minute, you get a lot of up and down emotions because you're preparing for a certain style. Now you're hit with a different style, and especially a guy like Burns that is just always been at the top of the division. He always brings an A game. He's always durable. He's always tough. I mean, maybe not in his last fight, he got knocked out in the first round, but regardless, like in his prime, he was a force to be reckoned with. And, for Khamzat, everyone gave him a lot of flack for that, including myself. But I don't think we should judge him on that one showing.
We got a new person to the channel, I believe, Jules Lest. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So is UFC on ESPN, UFC on CBS now? Okay. So I'm just going to break it down for you one more time. We were just talking about this. For the rest of the year, UFC will continue to be on ESPN Plus. You're still going to buy the pay-per-views the same way. You're going to be part of that subscription, pay $79 or whatever it is, $69 depending on the fight and when you buy it and whatnot. Starting in 2026, they will move to a hybrid model of Paramount Plus and CBS. So my understanding is that certain fights will be provided for free on CBS. I think they're going to choose particular fights to just help grow the fan base. And then everything, though, will be, if you do sign up for Paramount Plus, everything will be included. You can either do $7.99 a month and get access to all the fights. You'll have commercials, or you pay $12.99, right? An additional $5, and you're getting everything ad-free. So that's going to be how it works. Chad also says DDP versus Khamzat is my most anticipated fight of the whole year. 100%. I'm in agreement with you. And let me show you guys something. I pulled this up. Going to be crazy, fellas. Going to be unbelievable. Now, let me show you something, Justin. You said, hey, maybe this is your second most anticipated fight. But I asked the fans yesterday. We did a survey. 81%, that includes my vote, by the way. Let's just say 81% of the fans say DDP versus Khamzat is the best future main event of, oops, a little typo there, of 2025. So I didn't include like previous fights or things like that. But between Aspinall, Ankalaev, Islam versus JDM is second, but a distant second. Now, this also could be recency bias or time bias because we're all so hyped for this Khamzat DDP fight. But
I'm going on my phone to vote because you voted on 10-7. I'm voting on mine.
Okay, you go ahead and vote. Now we got a couple more comments from Ajules. I mean, more so what the events are named. What the events are named. Oh, I get what you're saying. So you say, is it UFC on CBS or UFC? I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. Maybe I'm guessing they'll always say UFC on Paramount. That's my guess. And then on CBS fights, I suppose maybe they'll say that. Yeah, I get you. Like right now we get fight nights and UFC on ESPN cards. Interesting. I actually had not thought about that. And I've listened to a bunch of people talking about the deal this morning, including Ariel Helwani and Luke Thomas, two legends of the sport and the journalism side, but they didn't actually address this. So I am not sure, but just be on the lookout. As soon as we wrap this show today, I'm going to be making an entire breakdown on the deal. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully it should be out by like 3 p.m. PST. Okay. I want to come back to one other thing too. So in this video that I made yesterday, I want to show you guys something here just to get everybody excited about how epic and amazing this fight is going to be and what this means for everybody. If you remove the accolades, right? Islam versus JDM. These guys are both champs. Okay. It's champ versus champ. That makes it exciting. It's also got the major legacy implications for Islam. There's all these things like that, right? Topuria versus Oliveira, champ versus former champ. And a lot of implications for Elliott because he became double champ. That's what made that big. Now, we don't have those same stakes here. Khamzat has never been champ. DDP is on a crazy tear right now, and that's amazing. But if we remove the accolades, if we remove the fact that it's not champ versus champ and anything like that, if we just look strictly at the matchup and the records and what they've done so far, this matchup is absolutely mind-blowing. So think about it like this, right? DDP right now, 9-0 in the UFC. Khamzat, 8-0 in the UFC. Both guys debuted in the UFC in 2020. Look at this, Justin. October of 2020 for DDP, July of 2020 for Khamzat. So they both basically came in right around the same time. Both of them got first round finishes in their first fight. Now we know what DDP has done since, right? He's gone on this tear. So he got so much criticism for his fight style, looking winded until he had that nose operation, right? People used to say his cardio was terrible. Now they say his cardio is his best asset. And you look at everything he's gone through, and then those two fights with Sean Strickland, beating Israel Adesanya, who everybody thought was going to smoke DDP at one point. And now we're here. Khamzat, on the other hand, 8-0, smashing a lot of opponents, but going to a decision against Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. Both guys undefeated. Both guys 31 years old. Both guys fight in a way that is unprecedented, in my opinion, in the UFC for the most part. I know you make comparisons to Khabib or Merab, but those guys are like, diamonds in the rough. DDP, we've never seen this style. So we are now seeing this clash of these two super crazy anomalies, these crazy unicorns. If you look at it from that vantage point, there is no fight that is this exciting. There's no fight where fans are this divided on who's going to win. We see the UFC just put up a survey too. I think it's like 65% people are picking Khamzat. On our channel, we had like 68% people picking DDP. So it's really split. it is just the best of the best, in my opinion. Okay, hold on. We're going to go through a couple other comments here. Alex Alberto might be new to the show as well. I don't recognize that name, but welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming along. And if you guys could like the stream, we'd appreciate it. If Dana White shops Contender Series to ESPN or somewhere else, that's a boss move. I'm assuming that's got to be wrapped into the deal. It's got to be, but I haven't heard anything about that in particular. If Khamzat never got COVID, he would be triple champ by now. Hey, man, I agree with you, but it is what it is. And I think if, when this kind of comes to fruition, the fact that he had to battle back from COVID and, face basically like life-threatening consequences, I think that's going to add to the richness of his story. So it is what it is. We can't look back, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of a bummer to think about that and all he's gone through. Drickus by TKO KO, Khamzat by choke. I would be surprised if it goes 5 rounds. I'd be very surprised if it goes 5. I don't think it's going to go 5 rounds. I think both guys are, we know how Khamzat fights. I think both guys are going to be going for the finish. Damn, Khamzat been with the UFC 5 years now. Man, no, time does fly. Khamzat's choke is unreal. His submissions are unreal. I absolutely agree. Justin, let me ask you a question. So DDP in an interview said that he was asked a question by Shaq MMA. He said, hey, would you go 2.5? Would you go over or under in terms of the amount of takedowns you're going to attempt on Khamzat during this main event? DDP said over. He claims he's going to plan to try and shoot on Khamzat more than 2.5 times in this fight. What do you think? Do you think he's just talking smack, or do you actually believe him? Because DDP is also kind of crazy.
No, I believe him, and I think it's a good approach.
Really?
Again, and the reason I think it's a good approach is whether he's successful or not, he's not going to be getting punched. And if he's shooting on Khamzat, Khamzat's not going to be shooting on him, because I think Khamzat has better wrestling than him. I think Khamzat's going to get him down to the ground. Whether he can keep him down or not, I don't know, and I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to say he can. I'm not going to say he can't. I thought Robert Whitaker was going to handle Khamzat. We saw what happened there, so I don't want to make an assumption. DDP, I think it's a smart game plan to take him into the later rounds. Everyone is talking about, and I don't want to go off the Gilbert Burns like I mentioned earlier today, but everyone's talking about his cardio. All right, well, let's test his cardio. Let's shoot on him. Let's put him against the fence. Let's try to take him down. Let's try to gas him out and take him in the later rounds and see if we can get that advantage in the later rounds.
Dean Thomas and Laura Sanko over the weekend, I made a video about this as well, but we're talking about his cardio. Basically said exactly what I've been feeling, what MMA Joey has been saying, that the cardio issue they feel has been overblown, because it's not really that Khamzat or any UFC fighter per se has necessarily terrible cardio. It's more mismanagement. It's more blowing his load early on, and that's what looks like poor cardio. And I brought up, we saw Big Rig in Fusion Fight League go out and have that insane pace in the first round, trying to secure a finish, and then he just got so gassed he collapsed in round 2, I believe, or at the end of round 1, I can't remember. But so it's something like that. And really, the cardio issue may not even be a real thing. It's like a false narrative. What's your take on those sentiments? Do you kind of fall in line with Laura Sanko and Dean Thomas, or do you think something else?
No, we go in there and it's just mismanagement, and I'm notorious for it, man. I totally understand when you're trying to finish guys in the first round. I mean, you're throwing 100% power. There's no feeling out process. You're trying to get in there and get out of there as soon as you can. And, we'll see what happens. That's why I think it's a smart idea for DDP to try to make this fight longer, because we know Khamzat's going to be looking for that early finish, as he always does.
Another interesting thing that Khamzat said in another interview, and we're gonna move on in a moment, but another interesting thing that he said is, hey, why did you when you fought Robert Whitaker, kind of what happened there, and you decided to go for the finish? And he's like, yeah, I just saw it. He's like, I figured out pretty quickly. He's like, I didn't think that Whitaker's wrestling or wrestling defense could really stack up to my wrestling. So he felt that advantage early on. That's why he went for the finish in round 1 and was going so crazy. So with DDP, I think he said he's going to see trying something similar. He's going to feel him out and see, hey, wait, do I have a major advantage here on the ground? If he does, he said he's going to go for the submission. So I think it's going to be very, very exciting right out the gate. This fight is going to be so crazy. All right, Justin, as we conclude on this topic early on, we are 5 days away, 5 days away from the fight of the year. What's your pick?
I got to go with my heart, man. I got to go with my heart. My brain says DDP, or my brain says Khamzat, but my heart says DDP. Define the odds once again. I'm probably going to put a couple $100 on him as well.
All right. I, of course, am going to go with Khamzat. I think I've made my case pretty clear. I haven't hidden my perspective at all. I even made a documentary about Khamzat, an 1.5-hour documentary. If you guys want to check it out, it's like the trailer video right now for the channel. But yeah, I think I'm going with Khamzat. I think it's going to be such a great fight, though. The odds are like -180 or -190 in favor of Khamzat. So it's like he's the favorite, but not by an insane margin. But yeah, for all the aforementioned reasons, I think his speed, his strength, his ability to shoot and kind of shoot from far out and secure the takedowns with incredible speed and agility, his ground and pound, his striking. I think all of the above, it's going to give Khamzat the edge. I think he's going to get it done, but I cannot wait. And again, people are so split and divided. It just makes this fight so dang interesting. All right. Oh, Tehran says I'm going to be at UFC. Heck yeah. All right, let's do that. I actually got to get my travel arrangements today. I haven't even booked my flight or anything like that, but my tickets are there. I've got the tickets. So I'll let people know. Maybe we can figure out a way to coordinate and link up at the fight. That'd be super fun. We'll take some pictures and whatnot. But yeah, this is going to be sick. I'm excited for the MVP. Oh man, dude, there's so many good fights on this card. This card is lit. We're going to talk about all the fights coming up, but let's move on. Thank you guys so much. By the way, once again, if you could click that like button, if you're enjoying the stream, we really appreciate it. It really makes a difference to help the channel grow because we are having a blast. All right, moving on to the co-main event. We've got Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy. Now, once again, we talked about Aaron Pico last Friday. He's got some amazing wrestling accolades. He's got some just really great finishes in Bellator or PFL or whatever you want to call it, that hybrid now. But he's coming in, and what people are saying is that Lerone Murphy is really, really good. And he's definitely a major step up in competition compared to what Aaron Pico has faced in Bellator, in PFL. Most people are picking Lerone Murphy. For some reason, I don't know. I look at his accolades. I look at what he's done in the wrestling world. I look at his knockouts. I feel like Aaron Pico's actually going to get it done, and he's gonna be the victor over Lerone Murphy. But Justin, let me turn over to you. You know a lot more about PFL and Bellator fighters than I do. What's your gut telling you in terms of this matchup?
Man, it's just I look at the other Bellator and PFL fighters that have come over. They've had all this praise behind him, and they just haven't been able to show up. And Lerone Murphy coming into this matchup, I believe he's 18-0. Nobody's been able to figure his puzzle out. Aaron Pico is a great contender to come up and try to knock him off, but I got to go with Lerone Murphy here.
So he's 16-0, almost 18-0, but 16-0, and then he's got one draw. We're just going to take a look at some of his recent fights. Now, you'll notice a lot of the fights, right? We're going to round 5 decision, round 3 decision, a lot of decisions. Here's one KO with the knee. We got, he's got a lot of decisions. He's a really fun fighter to watch. Usually I'm more excited by guys who are getting a lot of finishes, but he is really fun to watch. The most recent fight that I remember, I think I watched all 3 of these last fights. That's
9 decision wins. Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of decisions. Let's compare that to Aaron Pico. I'm pretty sure Aaron Pico is a finishing machine for the most part. Hold on. Let's take a look. Yeah, and I just feel like I know people are dismissing his wrestling background. I really feel like there's something to it. But look, oh my God. So this guy lately, TKO shoulder injury. That's interesting. Then he had this loss here, but then he had a decision and then 2 first-round finishes, TKO back-to-back. Prior to that, look, he doesn't have crazy finish, but like not too many decisions, only 2 decisions.
I think he's a great finisher, man. He's powerful. He's that old wrestling style that's going to throw 100% power in that first round. And you look at this, like Jeremy Kennedy is one of the best guys in the gym. So, that loss, and I don't remember how the fight was going. That's the only person I can really look at his record and be like, oh, I know that guy personally. Jeremy Kennedy is a personal friend of mine. He's an incredible fighter out of Extreme Couture. But, for some reason, I thought he was losing the fight and then he got hurt. Like Jeremy was losing the fight and then he got the win via injury.
Okay.
But I don't want to say that's 100%.
Well, it does say TKO shoulder injury here, so maybe it went exactly how you said, right? Maybe he was doing good, he was showing promise, and then something happened, and then he couldn't continue in round 2 because it says right there, round 1 at the 5-minute mark.
So you take that loss out of there. Look at this guy's win streak: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8. He's won 7, or he's won 8 out of his last 9, or say 8 out of his last 10.
9 out of the last 10. It looks like 9 out of the last 10.
Well,
that's wild.
Yeah, that's freaking insane, dude. Like that's so hard to show up every time, especially Bellator they got good fighters in Bellator. They got good fighters in the PFL. You still got to show up, man. Just because you're in one of those small organizations doesn't mean that you get a walk through. There's a lot of great fighters like Rory McDonald that went over to Bellator or went over to PFL, had zero success. You had Anthony Pettis go over there, zero success. Mads Burnell went from Bellator to the PFL, almost zero success. It's not a bum league. There's a lot of great fighters.
And another thing to point out, so at Jewel Est said, good gym for Pico's Jackson Wink. Not only is Jackson Wink a great gym, but I look back last time when we talked about his credentials and where he's trained. He's also trained at AKA. He's also trained at Jackson Wink, and also the Body Shop MMA. He's trained at several places. On top of that, he's been training with Coach Calavito, who I think famously has been working with Khamzat Chimaev in preparation for this fight to work on his cardio and endurance and whatnot. So he's got a lot of great people around him. I don't know, man. People are counting him out and people are picking Lerone Murphy. I'm going to pick Aaron Pico. I'm going to fall into the hype. I'm going to look at, I don't know how it's going to end. Yeah, let's say knockout. I'm going to say TKO at some point. That's my feeling. Justin, what are you feeling?
Man, I mean, with that take, looking at his decision record, Aaron Pico is going to come in hot. He knows he has to. Here's the thing. Lerone is used to going to decision. His gas tank's going to be able to hold up. Can Aaron Pico's gas tank hold up? My heart or my brain says Lerone Murphy, but I want Aaron Pico to win. I love when that old gritty wrestler dog comes in, has knockout power, and gets it done. So I really hope Aaron Pico can pull it off.
You know what's cool about Aaron Pico too, by the way, he's only 28. He turns 29 in September. And I like that because if he gets this victory over Lerone Murphy, who's just been on an absolute tear, he's going to be right in the mix in terms of a title shot, maybe even be up next. I wouldn't be surprised if he's up next for a title. And he's 29, like major runway with all his accolades is really exciting. Now, Lerone Murphy, on the other hand, even though he's a legend, he's kind of newer in the game in terms of from a fan perspective. He is 34. Right in the heart of his prime, probably. Legend, really, really fun fighter to watch. But I'm picking Aaron Pico, and I kind of want Aaron Pico. I think it's going to be overall better for the division and better for us fans. But that's what I think. All right, by the way, we're going to go through a couple new comments. Chad Bees says, liked and subscribed within 5 minutes. Let's go. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the channel. We are so glad to have you, and hopefully you're enjoying the show as well. Teron says, I was watching Pico and Bellator. The kid's a dog. Yeah, I've seen, like I said, I've seen his highlight reels. I need to watch a little bit more specifically his entire fight so I can get more information. But I don't know. I'm really stoked. I'm going to get to the fight early. I'm going to watch all the prelims. Like this entire fight card is really, really cool. And I want to see
Theo Vaughn, man. You and Theo Vaughn will be there.
Heck yeah. I want to see your boy, what's his name? On the prelims, Chase Hooper.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah, though. Chase Hooper's gonna be a star. Western says, just want you to know I'm listening, but I'm rebuilding my Jeep exhaust right now. All good, Western. Western is our ultimate #1 OG fan. He's been here from the get-go, literally when it was just Western watching us, and we really appreciate him. Obviously, he's become the mod now for this channel. Teron says Pico is what Chandler could be if he actually fought more intelligently, and I'm going with Pico by KO. Well, nice. Teron, that makes me feel good because Teron, I feel like, usually knows what's up, and yeah, great. All right, we are in alignment. Moving on to another crazy banger of a fight on this card we haven't talked about at all. Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates, who's just a knockout machine. It's completely insane, but recently went up and fought against Ian Gary. Actually, Ian Gary got him pretty good, but he had his moments. He had his moments against Ian Gary. He didn't go away. He didn't get finished. He hung in there, but Ian Gary came out with a decision victory. So I'm really expecting some major fireworks. Obviously, he was going against Geoff Neal, who's a power puncher as well. Ian Gary even said when he fought Geoff Neal, he had a lot of power and he had to tread lightly and be careful. So this is a banger of a fight. Justin, I imagine you're hyped for this fight because this is usually the type of fights that gets you excited. But tell me what you're thinking. What are you feeling for this matchup?
I think this is Prates coming back, making a statement. I have Prates by KO within 2 rounds. I think Geoff Neal is he's a great fighter. He's been there. He's done that. But man, I don't think Geoff Neal is ever going to be a champion. I don't think he's ever going to be fighting for a belt. Prates, on the other hand, I can see him fighting for a belt in a couple, especially if that fight he had with Ian Gary. What a banger. And he had some incredible moments in the 5th round. I remember we were watching it in your car, on your phone, if you remember.
Yes.
Incredible matchup, incredible fighter. I think I have Prates by KO.
Okay, so just to give you a breakdown of the age comparison, it's funny because I think of Geoff Neal as being such a vet and being around for so long. He's only 34. He's only 34. But
when did he get to the UFC? How old was he?
Let me go back and look. Wait, versus Carlos Prates is 31. But let me go back. Let me look at Geoff Neal here. Let's take a look at his Wikipedia together here.
I mean, you look at Max Holloway. I think he's like 31, right? Or 32.
Maybe 32, 33 now.
The damage he's taken is just so incredible. And Geoff Neal's taken a lot of damage as well.
Okay, so Geoff Neal was on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2000. Jeez, man. He's been in there since 2017.
10 years.
Oh, he fought Kevin Holland. I didn't know this, in another organization.
Oh, wow.
Kevin Holland beat Geoff Neal. I had no idea. Okay, that's crazy. I feel like such casual. All right, but look at this. He got into Dana White's Contender Series back in 2000.
I fought Frank Camacho.
Where is it? Where's Frank Camacho? Oh, wow. That's so crazy. Okay, so
look. Knocked him out too. Faster.
Hey.
That means I'm better, right?
That does mean you're better. You should rock Geoff Neal. Okay, look, we got one. Hold on, let's count this up. We've got one. I'm going to include the Contender Series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Holy smokes. He had 13 fights in the UFC. As a UFC vet yourself, is that like a crazy number? Or is that like pretty, like a solid number?
Milestones, man. Like, I think getting to 10 fights in the UFC is incredible, man. I had 5 fights in the UFC, and a lot of people give me a lot of credit for just 5 fights, but having over 10 fights to me, I think is incredible. Especially you're fighting the best in the world, guys. You're not fighting guys rolling off the couch. So you're someone like Geoff Neal. Like, you look at this: Stephen Thompson, Neil Magny, another old school vet, Vincent LeCue, Shavkat, Ian Gary, Rafael Dos Santos. Like, this guy's fought so who's who in the sport. He's 3 and 4 in his last 7. But you know what? This guy's been in there. He's done that. He can beat anybody on any given day. But I just don't think he's going to have enough to beat Prates.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
He beat Bilal Muhammad. Like, come on.
Isn't that crazy? He beat Bilal Muhammad. I think it was like the last guy to beat Bilal before Bilal went on that crazy tear. Whoa, Geoff Neal, put some respect on his name. All right, we got a couple of comments here that I want to read. Adjulest. Am I saying your name right? Let me know if I'm mispronouncing it. He says Pico, TKO on the ground. Let's go, Pico. Matthew's back in the mix. He says, what's up, everybody? I'm late to the party. It's all good. As long as you're here, we are happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining. We are in UFC 319 fight week. Holy smokes. Adjulest just says, call him AJ. Will do. Again, welcome to the show. This is so crazy, man. We're going to have so much great content for you guys this week. If you guys are new to the channel, I just want to let you know you can count on our channel to have content every day, but usually we're doing more than one video every day. Like yesterday, Justin posted a vid. I posted a vid as well. We do the show on Mondays, but I'm going to probably post another vid later, like I said, about the Paramount deal. So we're constantly on the grind, and we just do it because we absolutely are obsessed with the sport. Well, Justin in a whole nother way, because he actually is a professional fighter. And if you're new to Justin James, look him up. 79 fights. I think he had how many 50 amateur fights, right? No, am I saying that right?
Fights, 29 pro.
29 pro, 5 fights in the UFC, and the fastest debut knockout. I don't know if I'm getting that right or wrong.
Second fastest, but yep.
Sorry, second fastest debut knockout in the history of the UFC. So check out Justin. And that's one of the things, the reason why I wanted to start this show with Justin in particular is because 2.5 years ago when we started off and we started building the YouTube channel, this was my vision was, hey, how cool would it be to have like a diehard fan like me talking with actual professional, somebody who knows what's up. And so we can get some real insight, some real expertise. And I can almost serve as like asking the questions from the fan perspective where I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'm curious to know an answer. We can ping it off of Justin and get those really good responses. So anyways, that's the whole idea and formula behind the show. And welcome. AJ says, yeah, I'm very curious on what the TV cards become. I guess just UFC on Paramount. Oh, so you're talking about the deal. Listen, I'm going to do a full breakdown, like I said, after this. So stay tuned for that. All right, moving on we got 2 more matchups to talk about for UFC 319. We're going to talk about it again on Friday after we have the pressers and all this amazing stuff that I can't wait for. Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. Another banger fight on UFC 319. Another fight that I'm super curious to see how it unfolds. 2 guys that are both vets of the game. I think Cannonier, I want to say, is 40. Let me double check real quick. I believe he's 40 years old, and I think MVP. Oh, no, he's 41. Sorry. And then I believe MVP is 39. Hold on, let me look. No, he's 38. So MVP is 38. Cannonier is 41, but Cannonier has been looking amazing in his 40s, almost better somehow as he's getting into his 40s, which is pretty wild. So maybe he's changed some things conditioning-wise, diet-wise, etc. But yeah, Justin, let me turn it over to you. We were talking about Pico versus Lerone Murphy, banger. Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates, banger. Cannonier, huge power puncher versus Michael Venom Page with that in and out style. Take it away. What do you envision for this matchup?
I see a striker's delight, but I think Cannonier is going to come in and implement a game plan on him of putting a pace on him, because you don't want to stand at range with Michael Page. He's so accurate. He's so fast. He's so tricky. Cannonier is smart, and I think he's going to try and put Venom Page into the fence and maybe even take him down, but definitely doesn't want to stand at range. If he stands at range, I mean, Michael Venom Page could knock him out at any time. He's shown it over and over.
If you were in Michael Venom Page's gym or his training camp or part of his coaching staff, right? We saw he went against Sharp Bullet, beats Sharp Bullet. Since that time, what would you be doing with him? Would you be like, no, we're just going to still play to your strengths. We're going to work on what you're already good at and refine it. Would you focus hardcore on wrestling, or would you do some hybrid of just be like, all right, we're not going to look at the ground game, but we're going to solely work on takedown defense, and our goal is to avoid the ground at all costs? What would your approach be?
So with Michael Venom's Page, Michael Page's his age and everything, we can't change his style. We can't be like, all right, we're going to focus on it. I believe he's over 40. You know,
Michael Venom Page 38.
38. Okay, he's almost 40. Like, he's older. He's on getting on the backside of his career. Changing your game plans that late in your career could be detrimental. What I think they need to do is bring in strong wrestlers and be like, all right, here you go. Stick with your style, stick with your range, work your lateral movement. Don't get your back to the cage. I think Page has to move left and right, not forward and backwards, unless he's coming into a shot. But backwards is going to be a problem, because Cannonier can take him down or put him up against the fence. That's where he's going to struggle. So if I'm Page's coach, I'm saying we got to stay off our back. To me, Michael Venom Page looks like a fish out of water when he's on his back. He's not really doing anything incredible. He's not dangerous off his back. His threat of getting back to the feet isn't that great. I think we focus on takedown defense, and we look for stylistic matchups that can be exciting for the UFC. This is a matchup where Cannonier has to put the pace on him and put his back against the ground or the fence.
So let me ask you this, because I get a little confused. I feel like sometimes to prevent getting taken down or prevent basically being held on the ground, fighters don't want to be against the fence, right? They want to be in the middle, and some fighters seem to have an easier time getting up. And then I feel, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and then I feel like other fighters want to get to the fence so they can use it to push off the fence and get back to your feet. What is it? Does it vary from fighter to fighter where the best position is if you're like trying to get out from underneath a grappling position, or is it generally you do want to be closer to the fence?
If you are taken down, you want to use the fence. With that being said, there's a lot of offensive strategies you can use to fuck somebody up when you have them against the fence as well. But if I get taken down, yes, you want to use that fence. You can keep people from going to your back. You can almost peel them off. There's techniques you can use the fence to your advantage. With, again, reiterate, there's another side of that coin to where I can pin you up against the fence and do a lot more damage. So I think it's MVP's best idea would be to keep range, bounce in and out. Don't get in that range. Don't get in that warning track of getting put against the fence or taken down, because it'll be a long night for MVP if he gets taken down.
Now, MVP is very quick, right? We see that with his in and out movements. That's kind of the whole secret sauce to his fighting style, being able to move in and out and kind of blitz in like that. Do you think his speed is, I mean, I guess it didn't really work against, what was it? Who was not Kevin? He beat Kevin Holland. I can't remember who really just, I think it was Ian Gary. Ian Gary just really, wrestled him like crazy. Okay. So do you think, let me make this a two-part question. Number one, do you think he'll be able to maybe retune that speed to get out of there fast enough to avoid the takedown? Number one. And my follow-up question, sorry to stack them on like this, but my follow-up question is, do you think Cannonier is going to be a better wrestler than Ian Gary? So starting with the first, do you think that speed is going to be one of the keys to just getting away and sprawling really quickly and getting out of those takedowns?
That's his best asset. To me, his speed is his best asset, and his time, actually his speed and his timing. All right. So, if Cannonier is reckless and just dives in for shots, I mean, we could see a flying knee like we saw against Cyborg. You remember,
I know you're talking about
that Bellator.
Yeah.
Like
we caved the guy's skull in or something.
Caved his skull in with a flying knee. So, I mean, we're going to have to use that speed. We're going to have to use that distance. Cannonier is going to have to be smart. He is going to have to be calculated. If I was Cannonier's coach, I'd say use feints to try to draw those long strikes out, because MVP is a showman. He wants to throw a flying knee. He wants to spin. He wants to throw a spinning back kick. He's an entertainer, guys. MVP's never going to be a champion. Cannonier on the other side, probably thinks he can still become a champion. There's no way MVP in his camp thinks that he's going to become the UFC champion. There's just no way. His style isn't good enough. He's that old school style that I think that the UFC is keeping around for exciting matchups. Cannonier, on the other hand, probably thinks he still can fight for a championship. With that being said, Cannonier is going to have to be very, very smart. He's going to have to be calculated. He's going to have to use his striking and his feints to get in on the takedowns.
Okay, I know you're saying he can't ever get a title shot, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but think about if he was able to navigate the middleweight division and get a title shot against Khamzat. Like, that would be crazy. That would be such a weird matchup. I mean, I think Khamzat would completely annihilate him on the ground, but it would be so interesting for the time that it would last. Like, watching MVP try and deal with it, I don't know. It's very interesting. But anyways, you're probably right. It's going to be a tall task at 38 to make his way through. But who are you picking?
Oh, Cannonier for sure. Cannonier
yeah?
For sure. Yeah. I think there's some incredible matchups for Cannonier down the road. MVP, he's an exciting fighter. He's a great fighter. But, you know, the UFC looks at guys, and I know this is a fact. They say, can this guy be our champion, or are we just using him for matchups? I'm not saying that I'm 100% sure that the UFC is using MVP for matchups, but I don't see him ever being the champion. And I know they have discussions like that.
I am going to say, I'm going to go straight with my heart. Bless you. I'm going to go straight with my heart, and I'm picking MVP because I want him to win. I do think it's a tall task, but I think it's just more fun, man. He's just so different. Like, these fun styles, like MVP or Wonder Boy, dude. And he's a showman, and he's fun. He's cool on the mic. Like, I want to see him. And I feel actually really privileged because I am going to UFC 319 that I get to see MVP fight in person. And myself as a Muay Thai practitioner, like, I love striking. That's the thing that I love to nerd out on, and to watch this kind of like karate point style up close, somewhat up close. It's not like I'm front row or anything, but like, yeah, I got
pretty close.
I got pretty close. So that's gonna be quite a treat to watch him in this fight. Now we're gonna get a couple of comments, and we're gonna move on to the last fight, which may not be your favorite fight to talk about because this is the flyweight division. I know but I still thought it was worthwhile because it's interesting. Agreed. Got to wrestle MVP. Matthew says MVP will bust him up on the feet. Yeah, for sure. Western says, I think Cannonier can win on the feet too, though. Sure, he can. He's got great power. I mean, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating matchup. I really don't know exactly how it's going to unfold, but I'm very curious, and that's part of what makes it exciting. Banger of a card. We're going to the last fight and the main card here, Asakura versus Tim Elliott. So I don't know a ton about Tim Elliott, but I watched a bunch of his fight highlights leading up to this. And I also looked at his record. Like, he's got some submission threats. He's also got some fun striking. He's just a brawler. Do you know Tim Elliott? I think it said he trained at Extreme Couture at one point.
Not only do I know him, he's a good friend of mine, man. Tim Elliott, stud. He was at Couture's for a long time. Dated Gina Mazzani, was married to Gina Mazzani, another good friend of mine.
I met Gina.
Yeah, you met Gina. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Tim and her were married out here. Tim is a wild man. I love Tim on and off the mat. He's just a big ball of energy. He's always helping. His style is goofy, man. Like, the guy has ADD more than anybody I've ever seen. Even when like Eric or Dennis are showing techniques during practice, Tim's like shadow boxing in the background. He's always doing like this just wild. He just has so much energy all the time. And he's such a great teammate. I had so many great rounds with him. It was never an ego thing for him and I. He's a goofy grappler. If you saw him fight Demetrius Johnson, he took the fight to Demetrius Johnson, man. It was so incredible. And I might not be right exactly in saying this, but I believe he was a part of the Ultimate Fighter where the winner of the Ultimate Fighter didn't get signed to the UFC. They got a UFC title shot. And I believe that's when Elliott got the shot at Demetrius Johnson. And man, he lost the fight, but he took it to, I got to watch it live. I remember I was at the bar. I remember everything about the night. And me and Aaron, I was sitting there with Aaron. We're just like, holy shit, like, this guy's the real deal. He took the fight to Demetrius Johnson. And Demetrius Johnson is one of the best, if not the best UFC fighter I've ever seen. And, it's, man, what a great fight that was. And I have so much respect for Tim Elliott. I hope he can pull it off.
I mean, look at this. You're right. So the Ultimate Fighter Tournament of Champions finale, which I don't even remember this, back in 2016. And he went to a decision. He went all 5 rounds with arguably the GOAT. I didn't even know that.
And I believe he won a round or 2.
That's crazy. That's dope. And then he went on, he fought Davison Figueiredo. What a legend. Another former champ. It looks like he's had a couple. Look at that. In the last 4 fights, too, he's 3 of 4. So that's really great. Again, I am not as familiar with the flyweight division, sadly. I wish I was more familiar. But look at this. He even had a bantamweight bout performance of the night recently. He had this nice technical submission.
I got one more thing to say about it once you're done.
And by the way, yeah, go for it, actually. Jump in.
So if you look down at Tim's record, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, Tim went through some personal issues. I know he had some problems with his marriage. It was a big personal thing. I don't want to get into it. If you guys want to look it up, it was a big debacle. But even more importantly than that is his head coach, Robert Fallis, who was my head coach, committed suicide. And guys like Tim Elliott and, you know, Brian Caraway, after Robert committed suicide and wasn't coaching anymore, they both had their demons to battle. And I've talked to Brian about it. I never talked to Tim about it too much, but I know that Robert was his main coach. And I know that he had a really hard time with that loss. And it was right around that time. It was before I got signed to the UFC. So when you look at this record, Brandon Reval, Askar, Davison Figueroa go down a little bit more. Like those 4 losses out of 5, maybe even 4 out of 6. Those losses might have been around that time. So Tim Elliott is an incredible person. He's an incredible fighter. And it just really sucks for all of us that, you know, we lost our coach, and you can see those red marks on his record, and probably didn't help.
But it looks like he's been doing really good work lately. Look at that again with the 3 and 4. He did lose to Muhammad Mokaev, but Muhammad Mokaev, to me, in my opinion, is the best flyweight alive right now. I believe if and when he does come back to the UFC, he beats Pantoja. So, I mean, it looks like he's back. It looks like Tim Elliott is back. He's on a tear. If we look at his age, he's a little bit up there, 38, but, you know, as you always say, it kind of depends on the damage and how you maintain yourself. So I'm sure, I mean, it looks like he's looking great right now. Extreme Couture, as I mentioned, 2017 to 2020. Grindhouse, that's interesting. We know Grindhouse in Montana. I wonder if that's the same Grindhouse. That's wild if it is. But this is going to be quite a fight. Now, last time we saw Kai Asakura go up against Pantoja, and he got beaten, but he was exciting. I was rooting for him, but it seemed like he did have a little bit of the deficiency that Pantoja has, that advantage in the grappling and the ground game. But we have a very exciting fighter, Kai Asakura. We have a very exciting scrapper in Tim Elliott. You know Tim Elliott super well. You saw the Asakura fight when he made his debut in the UFC. What's your thoughts? How do you see this fight going?
Can't go against my teammate, man. Tim's been putting it together. I know he went through those dark paths or dark tunnels for a while between his marriage and Robert passing away. It looks like he's getting back on track right now. And, you know, it's like, I know we all have our own battles. I have my battles. You have your battles. He has his battles. But I just love seeing guys persevere through and come out on top, man. I can't go away from my guy, Tim Elliott.
Okay. I don't know Tim Elliott. I haven't met him, but like I said, I saw a bunch of his highlights. He looks like a lot to deal with. I don't know. I just think Kai Asakura is fun. I think he's fun. I think if you look at his highlights, even the way he fought Pantoja was fun. It was exciting. So I'm kind of picking with my heart here, and no disrespect to Tim Elliott, but I think it'd be cool for the flyweight division if Kai Asakura won. So I'm going to go with Kai, not for any good reason. Don't follow my picks. I don't really know what I'm talking about when I'm making picks. I'm doing it more for fun, but it is what it is. All right. Anyways, that's it for the show. That's it for all the topics. I know we got this comment up here, and I got a couple others. Wait, let me highlight our buddy 50 Rubles. The troll is back. Oh, he says, "Hola, gringos." Yo, I'm no gringo. I'm Indian, dog. I'm not a gringo. What's that? But yeah, Justin is a great. Oh, we got a little funny thing going back and forth between Western and 50 Rubles. Western says spell "hola" correctly, and 50 Rubles says make me. That's like Conor McGregor.
Send location.
Remember he's like, hey man, you gotta, Conor, shut your mouth. I think it was when he was fighting Floyd Mayweather, and he goes, make me. He takes off the sunglasses and goes at him. That's what that's reminding me of. John Dong is back in the mix. Sup? What's up? Welcome back to the show. Okay, let me go back to this other comment. Tehran says, it seems like Kevin Lee fell off once Robert. Oh, do you know? Did that also affect him? Did he work with him as well?
Yes, he did. As his head coach as well. And when it came to like Brian, like Robert killed himself like a week before Brian's fight. It was either Brian or Kevin, like in a brutal way, went up to Mount Charleston and offed himself. So it was really brutal for the gym. We had a lot of fighters suffered from, including myself.
Ah, okay. Well, wow, that's so crazy. And I'm sure that impacted multiple fighters. And I mean, we could see some of it, I think, in that record. That's really tragic. But the good news is Tim Elliott looks like he's back. As I mentioned, only lost to Muhammad Mokaev. And I made videos about it. Not many people watch my Muhammad Mokaev videos. I don't know why. I guess people aren't big fans of him, but like Mokaev to me is the real deal. He's the truth at 125. I want to see him back in there. So Tim Elliott losing to Mokaev is like him losing to Pantoja, in my opinion. It's crazy. It's like such tough competition. God, this fight is this card, Justin. What do you give it? Scale of 10 out of 1 to 10. What do you give
it? An 8. I give it a solid 8. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm really honestly trying to make a stance and be like, look, I want to follow the featherweight division, man. These guys are so fast and so athletic. What's that?
You mean flyweight, right?
Or flyweight division. And they're so fast and they're so athletic and they're so agile and they're so skilled. Actually, I think that the flyweights are way more skilled than any division, but we just don't have those brutal knockouts. And, if a guy's winning the first round and winning the second round and it's going to go to decision, like you just know that, okay, the first 2 rounds in a 3-round flyweight fight dictate the fight, in my opinion. If a guy's ahead 2-0 going into the third, he's probably going to win the fight. And I think that's why fans can't get excited, because they don't have that big dramatic knockout. Oh, you lost 2 rounds in a row. And then you remember like Derek Lewis versus Volkov. Volkov beats him 4 out of rounds in the last 10 seconds. Bang. You just don't see that in the flyweight division. I'm personally trying to get more invested because these guys are super athletes. The super athletes of the bigger divisions are going to heavyweight. They're going to light heavyweight. But these guys are the super athletes of the UFC. I wish they got more respect. And personally, I wish I got more excited to watch them fight, because they're great fighters.
They really are great fighters. And some of them are just so skilled. I mean, Pantoja obviously just doesn't get the respect that he's owed. But part of it is also, it's the, I hate to say it, man, but his personality, he's cool. He's really nice. Great role model. Awesome. But it doesn't grab you the same way that like Mokaev would grab you, or other folks, or even Kai Asakura has got like that movie star quality as well. Okay, wait, we got an interesting question from John Dog that I want to pass to you. If it hypothetically happened, who wins, Mokaev or Tyra? And I'm passing it over to you because I'm actually not sure who Tyra is. I'm looking it up now.
I'm with you there. I'm going to have to share the screen and check out who this guy's fought.
Okay, so Tatsuro Tyra. Oh, yeah. Okay, so he recently got a win, and I'm so sorry, John Dong. We're just not as familiar with the flyweight division, but here, let's look up his record, and I'll have Justin weigh in as the expert here. But holy smokes, this guy's record is out of control. Okay, so he lost to Brandon Royval. It looks like it was a split decision. Otherwise, these are the other fighters that he's beaten. So he's been on a pretty good tear. 17 wins, 1 loss. I mean, I don't even know too much about this guy. I think Mokaev beats everybody. I think Mokaev is the best flyweight on the planet. So that's my 2 cents. It's an uninformed decision. Justin, can you glean anything from the record that gives you any sort of idea?
Royval is the only guy that I really know or have heard of going into this fight, but what an impressive record. 16-0, loses to Royval by split decision, comes back 17-1. He has an incredible grappling base, 8 submissions. This guy seems to be a finisher, and that's the biggest thing. The flyweight division, it's like the women's division, man. I think they're great fighters, and I have no flack to talk about women being bad fighters. I think they're doing great, but watching 15-minute fight is just so long, and I think that's why the flyweight division doesn't get enough credit. But the UFC is going to like this guy. He's coming in. I love watching submissions too. It doesn't have to be a knockout, man. And this guy has plenty of finishes in the division. I'm excited to see what this guy can do.
I will say, with respect to the flyweight division, and it's something that I want to learn more about too, but if you see Brandon Royval when he fought Joshua Van at UFC 317, I watched that fight. I was there, and the crowd was going nuts. People love that fight. So it was a really exciting fight. I think that really helped put the flyweight division on the map a little bit more so, because it was a banger of a fight. Then we had the great performance from Pantoja in the co-main event right after that. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I think this is just a problem in general. And it's physics, right? You're just like, the cranium size is not proportionate to the strength. So like, I think the cranium strength and size is still, it's not that much different from a heavyweight, but the strength and the physicality and all that does substantially drop, just because like, they're like half the weight of heavyweights, but the cranium, you know what I mean? So that's why we're just not getting as many knockouts. Couple other comments we're going to highlight, and then we're going to close out the show. Gotta love a good flyweight fight. Western says, yes, I agree. Thomas Carina is back in the mix. Yo, what's up, fellas? Not much. We're just in UFC 319 fight week. Let's go. I'll watch the rest from the beginning. All right. Yeah, no worries. Welcome. Don't worry about being late. We're glad to have you here and commenting now. He says, hey, brother, what's up? What's up? And we have one other hilarious comment from our favorite troll, 50 rubles. He says, Makaev wins by cuddling. Dude, you guys got to put some respect on Makaev's name. Watch us fight in Karate Combat. He's working on his Muay Thai. He's been going out to Thailand. He's been training. He had a fight in Karate Combat, and he won. I mean, I think Makaev, when he comes back, it's going to be a different Makaev, an improved Makaev. And yeah, if he uses his grappling, I'm all for it too. You got to use all the tools in your tool chest, and it is what it is. But I think Makaev is young. He's hungry. He's got a great personality. He's ready to go. So that's my 2 cents. I want to see him back in the mix. All right, guys, that is it for our show today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Just a couple other things as we close out. Once again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the merch is ready to rock. I ordered the first shirt, the first tank top, and it looks legendary. I also got a hoodie that's on his way as well. So you guys can check out the merch. If you guys have merch ideas, make sure to let us know as well. We can make anything you guys think would be cool. And also look at our membership if it's something you're interested in. If you do want to get training videos from none other than Justin Guitar Hero James, professional fighter, fought in the UFC, is a professional trainer at Extreme Couture alongside Sean Strickland and Eric Nixick and all these other folks. You can subscribe. It's a pretty good deal, and you can watch his training videos and learn to defend yourself and get in shape on your own at home. So that's all part of the deal. Plus, you get access to our fun emojis that I put in last week. That's all we got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back Friday. I'll be probably streaming live from Chicago. Let's go. I cannot wait. And that's it. UFC 319. Answer our survey. Which is the biggest fight of the remaining 2025? I think it's DDP versus Khamzat. We are here. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.